How many times has a civilization, in the height of its cosmic arrogance, mistaken patience for submission? This is the chronicle of a catastrophic mistake. The tale of how an entire galaxy pushed humanity beyond its threshold, ignoring the warnings, dismissing the signs, until the roar of human engines echoed through the void. Not as a plea, but as the final judgment of a species betrayed. It was the darkest dawn in the history of the Galactic Concord, a date forever burned into the ashes of empires that still believed themselves eternal. The Great Council Hall, a crystalline sphere suspended like a beating heart among the stars, vibrated with unspoken tension that day. As Ambassador Karks of the Utaran Empire, my levitating seat glided into place with the precision of a hunting hawk. My eyes couldn't avoid the empty section reserved for humanity. No one truly expected their presence. Not after what had happened on New Montana, that so-called incident the Concorde still, in its cosmic blindness, refused to name for what it was: genocide. The air felt like a storm of plasma, ready to erupt. Order. Order in the chamber. The voice of High Chancellor Bexeter rolled across the hall like distant thunder. His four forearms spread wide in a gesture of authority, one we all recognized, though few respected. "We are gathered to discuss the human response to Operation DVD," he declared. A dry, bitter laugh almost escaped my throat, earning me a cold glare from Ambassador Poto of the Unified Hives. Incident, they called it, when an entire Dragnet battle fleet had been reduced to drifting debris. Apparently, in the new galactic lexicon, that was now a minor incident. The humans, Bexator continued, his scales shifting from calm green to a troubled violet, the twilight hue of a dying world, have issued what they call a final grievance declaration. Ambassador Karks, if you would, please read it for the Council. Of course, the thankless task always fell to me. Perhaps because my species was one of the few capable of speaking the harsh human tongue without a translator. Or maybe because they thought my neutrality would soften the blow. I activated the hologram. Lines of human script burned across the air in bright blue light. I cleared my throat, searching for a composure I didn't feel. To the Galactic Concord and all affiliated species, I began. For 300 standard cycles, humanity has participated in good faith within your framework of governance. We have endured trade restrictions that crippled our outer colonies. We have watched our expansion zones divided as if they were unclaimed wastelands. We have tolerated your scientific oversight, which in truth has shackled our research and progress. The chamber erupted into a low wave of protests and murmurs. I raised my voice, sharp as a laser cutting flesh, but the unprovoked attack on New Montana crosses a line that cannot be undone. You have mistaken our patience for weakness, our diplomacy for fear, our restraint for limitation. Therefore, consider this humanity's immediate withdrawal from the Galactic Concord. Any species that stands between us and justice for New Montana will be treated as hostile. You have 24 standard hours to choose your stance. Choose wisely. What followed was chaos. Shouts, alarms, and the echo of panic thundered like tectonic plates colliding. Minister Sill of the Trade Worlds fainted, her crystalline body chiming like fragile glass as aides caught her mid-fall. The Hive delegates began their panicked clicking, the primal sound of fear piercing through the uproar. And yet, through all of it, Chancellor Bexeter sat motionless. His hands clasped, his scales pale as ash, the color of an empire, realizing too late it had been consumed by its own arrogance. "Surely," came the quivering voice of Ambassador Poss of the Dragnet Dominion, "the humans understand their position. They are one species among hundreds. Their military might is a fraction of ours." A harsh, scornful laugh escaped me before I could stop it. Every eye turned toward me, uncomprehending, oblivious to the truth burning in my gaze. "My esteemed colleagues," I said, my voice dripping with acid sarcasm, "has no one wondered why the humans waited until now to send this declaration? Perhaps they've spent the last 300 cycles preparing for this very moment." The silence that followed was more deafening than any explosion. It devoured all sound, and with it, all hope. I called up the historical records, not that I needed them. Any diplomat worth their title knew the 3 turning points, the milestones of our collective stupidity that led us here. We simply chose to ignore them, dancing blindly on the blade's edge of technological arrogance. "Let's begin," I said, rising from my seat, my words heavy with the gravity of consequence. Let's remember how we forged our own destruction, starting with the Perseus embargo. Bexator nodded, weary and defeated. Even he couldn't deny the absurdity of that decision. Officially, the Perseus embargo had been enacted to protect developing species from human economic expansion. In truth, it was a blatant maneuver by the trade worlds to maintain their monopoly over crystalline quantum computing, a technology they guarded like divine treasure. The humans, ever diplomatic, submitted 17 proposals to revise the embargo, each one reasonable, each one rejected. Minister Sill and her glittering trade consortium needed their profit margins at any cost. And thus began our undoing. An act of greed so petty, yet so destructive, that it became the first link in the chain that would strangle us all. That decision led to widespread famine in New Montana, New Texas, and 5 other human colonies, worlds cut off from vital supplies, bleeding out into the void. The humans pleaded for aid. We voted no. They begged for temporary relief from the restrictions we ourselves imposed. We voted no. They asked to relocate their dying citizens. And once more, we voted no. Ambassador Poto's mandibles clicked in irritation. The law must be respected, he rasped. The law, I snapped, my tone sharpening into a blade, is what killed them.
The chamber exploded in a storm of voices, rage, accusation, fear, crashing together like plasma lightning in a containment field. I let them rage. Their anger became white noise in my perception until I activated the sonic dampeners in my section, creating a small island of silence amid the galactic fury. In that forced quiet, I accessed deeper archives, unearthing the bones of old betrayals. When the uproar finally faded, I continued. This, I said coldly, was our masterpiece, a monument of scientific arrogance that sealed our fate. When humans built their first functional quantum consciousness transfer system, what did we do? Our scientific council, in its infinite wisdom, declared it too dangerous for an immature species. We demanded they abandon the research. Abandon it. High Chancellor Bexator's scales dimmed to a shameful deep blue. The technology carried significant risks, he murmured. A pathetic excuse, I roared, my vocal sacs trembling with the fury of centuries. It worked, better than anything our species had ever produced. But instead of cooperation, we chose suppression. We chose fear. We chose envy. When Dr. Elena Martinez refused to destroy her life's work, the council sent enforcement units. 10 human scientists died that day. That part, of course, never made it into the official histories. It was too ugly, a reminder of how small-minded we truly were. That act of aggression became the seed of what the humans would later call the Forgotten Grievances, 3 centuries of humiliation. After that, I said softly, my voice darkened with foreboding, the humans went silent, too silent. They accepted our restrictions, obeyed our laws, smiled at our diplomatic functions, but if any of you had truly looked, you'd have seen it. I gestured toward the holographic display showing human space, a vast star field, arranged like a cosmic chessboard, where a master game was already in play beneath our notice.
Their shipping manifests never quite matched their production numbers. Their energy consumption was always just slightly higher than reported. Their colonies kept expanding despite our bans. The Minister of Commerce, still pale, raised a crystalline appendage. You're suggesting they've been deceiving us all this time? I'm not suggesting, I replied, sinking back into my grab chair. I'm stating it as fact. Humans have a saying, hope for the best, plan for the worst. For 300 cycles, we gave them only the worst, and I assure you they planned accordingly. They built their revenge, brick by brick, in the shadows of our arrogance. The chamber fell silent again, the weight of realization pressing down like gravity. All those centuries, we believed we were containing a dangerous species. In truth, we were just giving them time. Time to prepare, time to build, time to plan. And now, with the ashes of New Montana still drifting through the void, we had finally pushed them past their breaking point, unleashing a force none of us had ever dared to imagine. The central holoscreen flickered to life, showing the charred ruins of New Montana. Even 3 days after the Dragnet assault, the flames still licked the once endless wheat fields that had fed millions. Massive agricultural domes lay shattered. Their skeletal remains scattered like the bones of ancient titans. Play the footage, I commanded. My voice cracked, a mix of fury and something else, something like admiration. The recording began. The orbital defense platforms hung motionless, powerless, as mandated by Concordat law. Then, the Drachnit fleet emerged from hyperspace. 47 capital ships. No warnings, no demands, just annihilation. "Stop this," the Supreme Commander protested. "We all know what happened." "No," I growled, my throat burning. "You'll see it." The Drachnit ships opened fire. Energy lances scorched the planet's crust, tearing molten wounds into its surface. Kinetic bombardments shattered cities with the force of miniature suns. 7 million humans died in the first hour. A holocaust written in blood and plasma. But that wasn't what broke us. What truly shattered our souls was what they targeted next. "Look," I said, highlighting a series of icons on the display. They didn't strike military zones. They didn't hit industry. They destroyed the agricultural domes, the food supply. They condemned the survivors to starve. That, my colleagues, is not war. That is genocide. The recording continued, silent testimony to methodical cruelty. Emergency beacons flickered on the night side as civilian ships scrambled to flee. The Drachnit fleet let some escape, just enough to send a message. 17 hours later, human ships across 3 sectors received distress calls from New Montana, calls they were forbidden by Concordat law to answer. High Chancellor Bexeter raised 4 trembling hands. The protocols exist to prevent escalation. Protocols? I cut him off, my voice a plasma cannon. They exist to protect aggressors from the consequences of their crimes, to bind the hands of those who might have stopped them. I changed the display. Red destruction replaced by the cold blue of sensor data. "Here's what you all missed in your obsession with rules and balance," I said. "For 17 hours, the humans obeyed your laws. They did nothing. Then, exactly 18 hours after the first shot, every human warship in known space powered up a propulsion system we'd never seen before and vanished. 5,000 ships, gone. No jump trails, no energy signatures, no trace. Simply gone." The chamber erupted in alarm. "Gone? Where? How?" "That," I said, unable to hide a note of dark admiration, "is the interesting part. According to our best sensors, they didn't go anywhere. They just stopped being detectable. 5,000 ships, erased from existence, as if the void itself had chosen to hide them." A silence fell across the chamber, sharp and dangerous, like the edge of a freshly forged blade. "So," I began, voice dripping with a sarcasm honed over centuries, "just as we didn't know the true capabilities of their fleet, we also didn't know the full extent of their industry." Or, I gestured toward a new holographic feed, the enormous military complex buried 2 kilometers beneath the surface of New Montana. The council leaned forward, curiosity curdling into dread. Deep scan images appeared. Layers of earth peeled away to reveal a vast subterranean fortress, hidden right beneath our watchful eyes. While we congratulated ourselves for keeping humanity contained, I said, "They built this, a fortress beneath our noses, one that survived the bombardment, one that, according to our last readings, is launching ships." The revelation struck the council like a plasma shockwave. Disbelief rippled across every alien face. And yet, that wasn't the worst part. Not even close. The real horror, I continued, letting the silence tighten around their throats, happened 6 hours ago. I paused deliberately. Let them squirm. Let the tension breathe. Then with a single breath, I detonated the truth. Every human, everywhere in known space, has vanished. Not just the military. Every research post, every diplomatic envoy, every mining colony, every civilian habitat. 3 billion humans, gone. Vanished across 700 systems in a single instant. The room froze. Bexator's scales turned ghost white. "That's not possible," he stammered. "The energy requirements alone." "Quantum consciousness transfer?" I interrupted quietly, each word slicing through the air. "Remember that technology we forced them to abandon? They didn't abandon it, they perfected it." I looked at each council member, scanning their trembling forms, their shifting colors of fear. We have no idea where humanity is. No idea where their fleet is. No idea what they're planning. But we do know one thing. I switched the projection. The last transmission from New Montana, before the Drachnit fleet opened fire. A human voice filled the chamber, calm, defiant. Governor Chen, standing before her people as the sky burned behind her. Remember the Alamo. None of our historians could explain the reference, but as understanding dawned on my colleagues, their faces froze, pale with terror. "It's from human history," I explained. It means someone just made a mistake they're going to pay for. And then the alarms began to scream. Red light flooded the council chamber as emergency reports poured in. Human ships reappearing across the stars, striking strategic targets with surgical precision. A single message pulsed across every channel, every frequency, every screen. Humanity thanks the Galactic Concordat for its patience. Now, sit back and watch how war is meant to be fought. The council erupted, voices trembling, orders shouted through neural links. Supreme Commander Rudel's bioluminescent patches flickered like fireflies in panic. Fleet Base Omega-7 is gone. Vanished. 300 ships, 50,000 personnel. Gone. The humans hit it with something. An energy burst that turned everything within 50 kilometers into subatomic dust. I exhaled slowly, almost admiring the elegance of it. The Manhattan Protocol, I said. Apparently they've been saving that little surprise for the last 30 years. The Draconic commander's voice broke, trembling with disbelief. But our shields, they can't stop a weapon that manipulates the fundamental forces of matter. Exactly, I said, my tone dark and edged with satisfaction. Makes you wonder what else they've built while pretending to obey our restrictions, doesn't it? Bexator's scales had turned a dull, hopeless gray, the color of despair itself. The combined fleets are mobilizing, he whispered. We still have superior numbers. A new alert cut him off. The main holoscreen shifted again, and the image froze every being in the chamber. The Dracnet home system was gone. Not conquered. Not occupied. Erased. 50,000 automated defense platforms, nothing but debris. Their mighty planetary shield, once considered impregnable, disabled by a virus that bypassed every known safeguard. Oh, look, I said softly, a bitter smile curling my lips. Humanity remembered its old tricks from the Beta Carina incident. How thoughtful of them to return the favor. Ambassador Pato's mandibles clicked in panic. But they can't be everywhere. They don't have the numbers. I brought up another tactical overlay, formations shifting across star maps like a deadly waltz. They don't need to be everywhere, I said. See these attack patterns? Classic human doctrine. Vertical envelopment, tactical mobility, force multiplication. They're not conquering territory. They're erasing infrastructure and vanishing before retaliation. It's a dance of annihilation on the galactic chessboard. The chamber trembled violently. This time it wasn't a simulation. External cameras showed the truth. 3 human warships, only 3, were engaging the combined trade world's defense fleet, directly above the Council's own world. And the humans were winning. Fascinating, I murmured, watching the chaos unfold. Their ships are performing maneuvers that should tear them apart. Energy readings off the charts. It's as if they're no longer bound by the same laws of physics we are. Impossible, cried the Minister of Commerce, her crystalline body resonating with terror. Our scientists confirmed humans couldn't advance beyond our level. I laughed, a hollow, bitter sound that echoed across the dying council chamber. Of course they let us believe that. Every invention they showed us, every limit we thought they had, was carefully staged. They fed our arrogance. They wanted us complacent. A flash of light filled the sky above. One of the human warships split in 2, then both copies split again. 12 identical ships now engaged the fleet, moving as one mind, one will. Quantum duplication, I whispered. A logistical nightmare. And a masterpiece of vengeance. The council chamber trembled as the realization struck us. The humans had unlocked a power beyond logic, a technology we once forbade them from creating. A pattern was emerging. Every mistake they'd made was a seed, planted for this very moment. Supreme Commander Rudel froze, his neural link erupting with urgent transmissions. The human fleet, he stammered, his voice strangled by terror. Across every major system simultaneously, human ships had appeared. Military bases, shipyards, command centers, all under attack at the same instant. A galactic chessboard where every piece moved at once. The alarms wailed in the distance. Through the windows, the sky burned. I rose from my seat, my diplomatic robes heavy with the weight of history being written in real time. They're being selective, I said quietly. No civilian blockades, only military targets. Only those who aided the Dragnet Alliance. Chancellor Bexator's voice trembled. They're showing restraint? I didn't correct him. They're showing us how much restraint they've practiced for 300 cycles. We forged the very blade they now hold against us. Hours passed, 6, maybe more, each one a masterclass in warfare. The humans conducted destruction like a symphony, a grim ballet of strategy and precision. Then their next transmission came, not with threats, but with music. A roaring melody filled every channel, an ancient human battle song. Ride of the Valkyries. Rutul recoiled. What is this noise? I almost laughed at the irony. They're dismantling our fleets with a soundtrack. The tactical screens told the rest. The proud Drachmid armada scattered like frightened prey. Our trade world's defenses, once impenetrable, turned against themselves, hijacked by human cyber warfare. Hive cluster fleets drifted powerless, their crews trapped in silent sleep, victims of weapons beyond comprehension. How do they predict every move? Whispered Ambassador Poto. Are they omniscient? I reviewed another report and felt a cold smile form. Do you remember those human assistants in our diplomatic corps? The ones we dismissed as menial labor? They were cataloging us, our reactions, our tactics, for generations. Every decision mapped, every instinct recorded. Another explosion rattled the chamber. They're hurting us, I realized. Every retreat leads to an ambush. They planned this entire campaign before the first shot was fired. It was military art, terrifyingly precise, impossibly elegant. Bexeter's scales had turned a lifeless gray. Our ships are failing, he muttered. Weapons offline, systems collapsing. Quantum virus, I answered. It's been in our networks for decades, sleeping, learning, waiting for activation. When New Montana burned, it awoke. Our defenses didn't fall, they surrendered. Then a new message appeared on every display. Check your calendars. Confusion turned to dread. The date, by the human calendar, April 1st, April Fool's Day. They'd chosen today to strike, turning vengeance into cosmic irony. These humans, whispered Rutul, they've turned war into theater. No, I replied solemnly. They've turned it into a lesson. Every human ship broadcast the crimes of its targets before firing, not for cruelty, but for judgment. They weren't just winning a war, they were writing a record of justice. More ships emerged, bending physics itself, some phasing through solid matter, others appearing moments before their enemies acted. Time and reality bowed to their technology. That's impossible, murmured a young envoy. Energy requirements alone were solved 40 centuries ago, I interrupted. They mastered cold fusion, quantum tunneling, temporal mechanics, all while we laughed at their myths. A silent alert flashed in my neural display. The Drachmid home fleet, pride of an empire, had surrendered unconditionally. Trade world defenses followed moments later. Each domino fell exactly as humanity intended, a cascade of precision and inevitability. I faced the stunned council. Do you know what's truly terrifying? I asked. This isn't their full strength. Long-range scans show most of their armada still hidden in the pocket dimension they built centuries ago. Rutul collapsed into his seat. How long have they planned this? Since the first trade sanction, I said quietly. Every insult, every treaty violation, every dismissal. They remembered everything and built their revenge one piece at a time. The main screen lit up once more. A new transmission. This time, another song from ancient Earth, the Imperial March. We're not going to win this, are we? Bexeter whispered. No, I said, my voice heavy with finality. Chancellor, we lost this war 300 centuries ago. We just didn't know it yet. Beyond the council dome, the human engines roared, not as a distant threat anymore, but as the sound of judgment itself. A month after what the humans called the War of Fool's Day, the council hall stood rebuilt, yet its scars told the truth. The seats of fallen empires lay empty, their banners replaced by silence. At the center stood a single wooden podium, where once arrogance ruled, now spoke authority earned in fire. Admiral Mira Rodriguez stepped forward, calm, unarmed, her metals glinting faintly under the light of distant stars. The terms are not negotiable, she said, her voice carrying both warmth and iron. No more restrictions, no more chains, no more interference in humanity's path. She smiled, not with pride, but purpose. We're not here for revenge, she said. We're here for change. Even the proudest alien leaders trembled. Their fleets shattered, their economies broken. Yet she offered peace, not submission. Humanity wanted progress, not conquest. Then, with a gesture, she revealed a holographic vision. A network of research open to every species. Learn, she said. Grow. The universe is larger than our power games. Her tone shifted, soft, yet heavy as the void. There are things out there, beyond the stars, that should terrify all of us. That's why we built what we built. Not to rule you, but to prepare. Silence filled the chamber. For the first time, fear was shared, not by humanity, but by everyone else. The ambassador, once humanity's harshest critic, finally spoke. For centuries, we tried to contain them, and in doing so, we forged them into exactly what we feared, but wiser. Rodriguez turned to him, smiling that quiet human smile. "Be careful what you wish for," she said. "You wanted humanity to learn its place in the galaxy." She paused. "We did. Turns out, our place is at the front of the class, teaching survival." As her footsteps faded, the stars outside seemed darker, yet somehow less lonely. Because now, for the first time in centuries, we faced the unknown, together. The question was no longer who would survive, but who was willing to learn.